Dear young adults, Om Sai Ram. Welcome to the September workshop for the Sathya Sai Young Adult Talent Development Program 2018. Before we kickstart today's workshop, let's pray to our beloved Bhagavan for his blessings to ensure the session runs smoothly. So today's session will be facilitated by Sister Sai Usha of Malaysia. Sister Sai Usha Haridas is a fourth generation Sai devotee born and bred in Hong Kong. Within the Sathya Sai International Organization, she served as the immediate past Zonal 4 Young Adult Coordinator and currently lives in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Sister Sai Usha has worked in the field of education for 17 years, tutored as a high school student, and commenced SSE classes in Manchester Sai Centre while studying her language and literature degree at the University of Liverpool. She began her professional teaching career in Hong Kong, followed by a Sathya Sai Education in Human Values Diploma at the Sathya Sai Institute in Lopburi, Thailand. She currently runs a tutoring practice, training students and teachers of all ages, and spends a lot of time engaging and interacting with the current and next generation of youth within the organization and within the community. Sister Sai Usha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Sister Pratiksha, for that wonderful introduction. Let's start off with a prayer to Swami. My most humble and loving pranams at your lotus feet, beloved Bhagwan. And my dearest brothers and sisters, loving salutations to the divinity present in all of you. At the outset, I would like us to close our eyes one more time because I'd like to talk to Swami and I'd like you to do that with me. So dear Swami, thank you for being present with us all, in us all. Swami, throughout today's session, please guide us to ask the right questions, not just to make decisions in our daily life, but for us to become more conscious and conscientious beings, so that our thoughts, words, and actions are in accordance with your teachings. Thank you, Swami. So, Jai Sai Ram, everyone, and welcome aboard to Clarity Through Conscious Thinking and Questioning. Wow, that topic is quite a mouthful, quite long. So, today, we're going to do a few things. We'll start with a definition on the topic, followed by a story to gain some perspective on how or where clarity comes from. This is going to be followed by me introducing a tool that I find quite useful for constructive thinking called Edward de Bono's 6 Thinking Hats. I'm hoping this brings insight to those of you who are seeing this for the first time. And for those of you who have already seen it, I hope this serves you as a refresher. If you have already seen it, could you just type in the chat box, seen it? After that, we will put these hats on, and then we're going to do an exercise to gain some insights on seeing things from multiple perspectives. And finally, if there are any questions, we'll address those. Okay, thanks, Sister Shalu. Great. I hope this serves as a refresher for you. All right, so everybody, before we do any of this though, the only way today's session is going to work is if all of you commit to participation, okay? So please commit to participating now by typing yes in the chat box. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you say yes. Thank you, Srinivasa. Thank you, Narissa, Sharla, Mithun, Sanchari, Visha, Sandeep, Kashir, Samish, Pankaj, Yuri, Ekta, Yakshi, Pryor, Brandon, Dimple. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Natasha. Thank you, Shalu. Good to see you. All right. So let's go. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. So with our topic, we have a few keywords. We have clarity, we have conscious, we have thinking, and we have questioning. So I've put down dictionary definitions for these 4 words up here. Thinking refers to the process of considering or reasoning about something. Questioning is to string a thought together that you want a response for, right? So this could be for the purpose of a discussion, you want a response to solve a problem, or you want to just dispel some uncertainties. Clarity is the state of being clear, quite obviously, with no ambiguity or no confusion. So I put this in this order because thinking often leads you to questioning so that you can clarify things, and then questioning brings clarity. But then there's this word, conscious, which according to the dictionary means to be aware of your own existence, sensations, thoughts, and surroundings. So this was an interesting definition, but what I found even more useful than this was actually the synonyms which came along with the word conscious. So words like cognizant or informed, but when you're in a situation where you're learning, it's really important for you to understand what you're learning fully and read it well. But most importantly, I feel being conscious is important because it reminds us to be watchful, careful even. How Swami says ABC, always be careful. Be completely present in the moment so that you're here now and so that you're aware of what learning is happening. Okay? So if we connect to today's session, we look at the bigger picture. Today's session is part of a SSI Young Adult Talent Development session. And why are we doing this? We're going to develop our talent, our skill, to be of good service to Swami, right? So when we tie these 4 words together, we're not just thinking and asking questions mundanely, but consciously to understand life, life's purpose, to solve problems, and to make our journeys more meaningful. Okay, so Swami actually talks quite a bit about questioning. He says a few things. There are a few lines of questioning which he asks us to think about. One of them is the one you see on the screen. Swami says, before you speak, think. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And does it improve on silence? I'm sure you've already heard these, but it's a refresher nevertheless. When I was thinking about this set of questions, actually something came to mind. Earlier this week, I received on WhatsApp a set of letters that Swami had written to a few individuals. I'm not sure if you received these. If you want them later, I can always forward it to you. Okay? So I was intrigued about these letters, so I opened and I started reading them. I kept reading because I was enjoying Swami's letters. But what I noticed was they were so concise, so crisp, loving, and to the point. So I basically typed out an excerpt of one of the letters. So Swami says, Venkama, we reached Madras at 10 p.m. yesterday. We arrived in bliss without any difficulties. How is Vijaya? How are all the devotees doing? I suppose all are happy and comfortable there? Take good care of the temple. Is Krishnappa there? Has sister-in-law gone to her native place? I told him to start work in the village. Work should start in Bukkapatnam too. Tell them I inquired about them and send my blessings to all of them. Grandmother and her grandchildren, Savitrama, Sharadama, and he mentions a whole list of names after that, and the Gurkha, which is the security guard, get the work in the village done quickly. Tell them to take care of the cattle, tell them to pour water in places where all the trees have been axed, and put some manure around the plants. Revered Baba. I found this letter very sweet. Were his words in the letter true? Were they necessary? Well, I felt, yes. Swami informed about his whereabouts. He addressed real issues that needed attention. And then, were his words kind? Yes. He was often giving advice or lovingly checking up on people and the progress of things that were happening. Would they improve on silence? Yes, actually they would. Because upon reading them, devotees' doubts would be dispelled. They would probably know what to do action-wise. They would find solutions. And of course, with his blessings, they would feel peaceful, happy, and blissful. So you would feel a sense of peace and bliss, silence after this. So this is, I felt, a simple example of how Swami is demonstrating clarity of purpose and intention through his words and thoughts. Now, there's another set of questioning skills that Swami speaks about repeatedly, and I'm sure you've heard these in discourses that you've heard of, discourses that you've heard in the past. These 4 questions are: who am I? Where do I come from? What am I doing, and where am I going? This set of questions is also something that should run through us repeatedly so that we discover our purpose in life. You see, Swami says, the body is like a water bubble, right? The mind is like a mad monkey. So what we need to do is look beyond the surface. When we look at ourselves as beyond the body, the mind, the senses, and we see ourselves as a bigger picture, we look for who we truly are. The divinity that is present in me is the same as the divinity present in you, making us all connect to one source, which is the same source. And so when you keep asking these questions, the clarity comes through. These fundamental questions help us think along these lines, and they're important not only just in questioning occasionally, but repeatedly, and reflecting upon these questions helps us bring clarity to life. So here you might say, okay, Sayusha, that's all good, but what about practical things like situations that we go through, career, education? Is this session going to help me with that too? Yes, of course it will. So let's get started with that right now. Brothers and sisters, I want you to look at this picture on the screen. What do you see in the picture? Please quickly type your answers in the chat box. And let me just say, I may not be able to acknowledge all your responses immediately, but I will definitely read through them and address and acknowledge as many as time permits. Okay? So what do you see on the screen? What do you see in this picture? People are struggling to contain a hathi or an elephant. That's possible. People are trying to climb the elephant blindly. All the men are blindfolded. Yes, they are, Visha. Blindfolded people trying to take care of elephants. Yuri, interesting. Sharala, a set of people trying to move the elephant. Maybe. Srinivasa working with blindfold. Interesting, right? 5 men and 1 elephant. It's actually 6, right? Actually, just shall we check it? Oh yeah, you can see 5 there. Oops, you're right. Loving the elephant blindly. Thanks, Shalu. People trying to reach the top. 5 men trying to climb on the elephant and making use of their hands. Senses. What do you mean by senses, Visha? Everyone sees their own small perspective but are blind to the larger picture. Amar, it seems like you've seen this picture before. People have their eyes tied and are trying to understand what the thing actually is. Sanchari, you have a point there. People are experiencing different parts of the bigger picture. Also, people are going about their day blindly. Very cool. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed looking at this picture. All of you have a point. Actually, that picture is linked to, this story, okay? Which I'm going to read now aloud to you. And as you may have heard in the intro, I'm a tree teacher by profession, so I'm going to try and make this sound as animated as possible. So here goes the poem. It was 6 men of Industan to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. The first approached the elephant and happened to fall against his broad and sturdy side. At one began to bawl, "God bless me!" But the elephant is very like a wall. The second, thinking of the task, cried, "Oh, what have we here? So very round and smooth and sharp. To me, 'tis mighty clear. This wonder of an elephant is very like a spear." The third approached the animal and happened to take the squirming trunk within his hand. Thus boldly up and spake, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a snake." The fourth reached out an eager hand and felt about the new. "What most is this wondrous beast is like is mighty plain," quoth he. "'Tis clear enough. The elephant is very like a tree." The fifth, who chanced to touch the ear, said, "E'en the blindest men can tell what this resembles most. Deny the fact who can? This marvel of an elephant is very like a fan." The sixth no sooner had begun about the beast to grow, than seizing on the swinging tail that fell within his scope, "I see," quoth he, "the elephant is very like a rope." And so these men of Industan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion, exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right, and all were in the wrong. Okay, so here you have a poem which talks about 6 blind men. Each of them approached the elephant from a different angle, and each thinks that the elephant is something other than what it actually is. Okay? That's what the poem is about. So, upon listening to that, I want you to help me type out what your insights are upon hearing the story. What did you learn from this? Our perceptions are based on our own experiences. Yes, Shami, of course they are. Very good. Different people with a different understanding of the same thing. Interesting, right? Dimple, there can be a lot of perspective from one single situation. Yes, they can. Very true. Narissa says, we all go through life experiencing different things and having different perspectives. Absolutely. Sanchari says, we interpret things on how we experience them. Yakshi says, each man was right based on his own perception. Yes, each man was. Each individual finds his or her point of view to a situation just or right. Very true. You think it, so you feel it's right. Pryor says, everyone experiences things differently, so no judgment is required. Makes sense? Charla, everyone has different perspectives based on experience and knowledge. Correct. We conclude by seeing what we know and experience without knowing the bigger picture, which may turn to a wrong conclusion. That's very wise, Brother Srinivas. Thank you. Life is the way you take it. It totally is, Yuri. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for your responses. I really appreciate that. Keep them coming. The parable basically, as you said, implies that one's subjective experience can be true, but such experience is limited because it doesn't account for the other truths or the totality of the truth. And therefore, there's a need for deeper understanding. You see, in this version, the blind men discover their disagreements and they suspect each other not to be telling the truth and they come to blows, which is one way of dealing with the situation. Another version is they stop talking actually, I forgot to tell you in the beginning that there are many endings to this story, because this story has been written, as it says in the previous slide, in the 1800s. So obviously it's been told, repeatedly, but with many different endings, so that there's a different lesson to take home from the story. So like I said, the first version is the one we saw. The next version can be, the next version is they stop talking and they start listening to each other. And because they start listening, they start to collaborate because they see the whole elephant, right? And then there's another version where a sighted man, a person who can see, enters the parable, and he describes the entire elephant from various perspectives. And so then the blind men learn that they were all partially correct, but partially wrong also. So although their subjective experience is true, it may not be the total truth, right? It's interesting when you look at something like this, because when you look at a story like this, and when you're learning to understand something, it's not that one view is right or wrong. It's just like when you go to school, a little child, they will understand the situation, they will understand math by 2 plus 2 being 4 first, right? After that, when you teach them 2 times 2 is 4, it is also true. It doesn't make 2 plus 2 incorrect, and it doesn't make 2 times 2 superior to 2 plus 2. It's also true. 8 divided by 4 is also 2, for example. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that there are many ways to get to the same thing. And when we see a perspective, it depends on where we're seeing the perspective from. But that doesn't mean that there's only one end to the story. There can be multiple ends. Okay, so just like the story of the 6 blind men and an elephant tells us that we need more perspective to see a complete picture, so does this man called Edward de Bono with his 6 thinking hats. Now, who is this man? Edward de Bono is a thinker. He put together a pretty neat idea on something called lateral or parallel thinking, okay? And he depicted this in the form of the 6 thinking hats. So why the 6 thinking hats, and what is parallel thinking? Well, this is what he says. He argues that a more traditional type of thinking is where you see 2 sides to a situation, what you see on the left of the screen, where one side is right, the other side is less right or not right, okay? However, you have something called parallel thinking or lateral thinking, where at any one moment, everyone is looking in the same direction, towards the same goal. You put on one of the 6 hats to direct your thinking, and each thinker will put forward their thoughts in parallel with other thoughts. So these 6 hats, therefore, guide us to analyze issues, generate ideas, make better decisions. And what Edward de Bono says is this nature of thinking is constructive, alternative to the initial type of thinking, which is a little bit more argumentative. Okay? So that's the basic concept of the 6 thinking hats. So I'm going to take you through the 6 thinking hats so that you understand what it's all about. So how does this work then? This is the first hat. Well, actually, it's just one of the 6 hats, rather. They come in different colors, these hats. Each color identifies a type of thinking. So the blue hat is the cool hat, okay? It's the sky above hat. Why do I say that? Because the sky above can see everything down below, right? It can see the bigger picture. So the blue hat essentially organizes and controls the thinking. Now, in order to contextualize what I'm saying over here on the screen, because it's just an idea, I'm going to put a situation in, okay? Let's take Narayana Seva within a community. You're doing a project with a team, and when you're using a blue hat, some of the questions that you would ask are, what are the objectives of Seva? How should we approach this Seva? What are our long-term and our short-term goals for the Seva? And maybe who's going to be responsible for this aspect of it, that aspect of it, etc. Okay? Then you have a white hat. The white hat is an objective hat. It's a facts and figures hat. You know, just like when you write a white paper for a project, it directs your thinking objectively. This hat helps us think logically, with facts directing our thinking. So when you have a white hat on, maybe what you would do if you were thinking about the SEVA project again is you put down facts about the SEVA project. You think about questions like, what do we already know? Maybe the answer of that could be this community is in need of dry rations because of blah, blah, blah reasons, okay? We went for a recce and we discovered that the road transport would only be possible till point A, after which we would have to trek for maybe up 1.5 kilometers of a dense forest till we reach the shore of location B, and then we take a boat or we walk through a shallow river to reach the village community, okay? Another question with a white hat could be, what do we need to find out so that we can do the service? Next comes the red hat. The red hat is the feeling or the emotional hat. It does what the white hat doesn't do. It gives us the opportunity to go with our gut and why we feel like doing something. So this hat is a cool one because it doesn't need to be justified. In terms of the SEVA project, after doing the recce, let's say the villagers were so excited and so welcoming towards the people who went to serve that when I'm putting the red hat on, I say, I'm sure the whole team that travels together will have an intensely satisfying spiritual experience once they take part in the SEVA. I get the feeling that blah, 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 okay? So those are things that you can say when you're using the red hat. Moving on, we have the yellow hat. So yellow is a happy color. It's the hat that's the opposite of the next hat which is coming. It makes us think of the strengths and the benefits of a project or an activity. So let's go back to the SEVA, right? If all goes well and if the SEVA is well received, we could make this project a community adoption program for a period of time. And then we can do X, Y, and Z to make the whole community's living more conducive. We can educate them about hygiene, about cleanliness. That way we can work with them throughout the year and improve their facilities, assist them towards healthier living, happier lives, blah, 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 okay? So questions that you would ask are, what benefits can you expect? Why is it worth doing this project, okay? All the positives about the project. Now, the next hat is the black hat, okay? The black hat is the devil's advocate hat, or the one that makes us think about the flaws of our idea. What does it lack? Now, this hat is super important because it allows us to think critically about the strengths of our projects, but allows also for us to acknowledge the weaknesses of a project or an activity. And it's done in a critical manner. So it's like positive criticism, right? So you're not criticizing something, you're giving it positive criticism so that you can use the criticism to improve it further. So let's go back to the SEVA project. So the whole, one thing that you can think about is the whole community has survived so long, okay? They've not had help from an outside entity coming in and doing stuff for them. How is it that they've managed to survive this long, okay? So now let's really find out how much they need. Instead of just serving them, let's empower them and teach them to serve themselves. So this aspect of the SEVA suggested, another thing that you can think about is this aspect of the SEVA won't work because of blah, 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 these reasons, okay? You can be critical when you're using the black hat. You can say, are you sure this is true? Will this work? Things like that, all right? And then you have a fun hat coming up next, which is the green hat. The green hat is a creative hat. It allows us to create new ideas, think of unique ways to solve problems, and basically think outside the box, okay? Let's go back to the SEVA now. I'm going to think of option A, and if option A does not work, then there's always an option B. Or so far, we've approached the seva through the angle of going and serving the needy. Why not this time we approach the community with a fun fair and entertain them and make them happy, and then give them the things that they need as well, okay? So brothers and sisters, that's a basic idea of what these 6 hats are. Most of the time what people do is they use the 6 hats and then they go back to the blue hat at the end again to restructure or realign their ideas so that you can act upon those ideas after that, okay? So now that you've learned about the 6 hats, it's time to use them. When we use the hats, it's usually a good idea to be disciplined and to set a time frame for each hat, okay? So that's what we're going to do when we do our next activity. We need to work smartly, and we're going to do that just now. So brothers and sisters, Sai young adults of the world, I have an idea, and this is true, I really do have this idea. I genuinely feel that the world needs us to be more mindful of how we use plastic today. And therefore, I would like us to be the agents to sow the seed to stop using plastic water bottles completely, okay? And for us to use our own bottles to carry water. We always need water, right? So we have to figure out how we can carry our own water. I'm sure some of us already do, but I'm trying to think of how we can do this collectively. I would like people to stop purchasing plastic bottles in order to drink water. So how can we do this? Well, I live in Malaysia, as you know. So I thought that since in Malaysia most people drive and people seem to pick up water at petrol stations, you know, on their way to places and stuff, my idea would be to propose that we start an initiative by getting all the local petrol stations to install a machine or a few machines that supply fresh drinking water, okay? So basically it's like a water refill machine. You can put a coin in and the machine will work or something like that, okay? So as you can see, this is just an idea. It's a basic preliminary idea, and it's only in the thought stage. I would like us all now to think with the 6 thinking hats, and I want you to help me develop this idea further, okay? So now I'm going to give you all 2 minutes with the blue hat. Put on your blue hats, everybody. And I want you to ask questions to structure this Bring Your Own Bottle project, okay? Remember, the project is where we bring our own bottles and we're supposed to refill these waters. We're supposed to refill water at these petrol stations when we go out, all right? So put your hat on, and I want you to think about blue questions, okay? Blue ideas. Who are the people we are targeting for this project? Okay, good. Thanks, Sabina. Yes, that's a fantastic question. Good way to start. It works together with the aim. You'd have to approach a government, the proposal, and a feasibility study. Yes, you would. Thank you, Shalu. Yes, we'd have to do that. Write to the authorities. Which authorities do you think we'd need to write to, Sarla? Are we planning to run this across Malaysia, or do we want to start this in one state? Good thinking, Shamini. That's definitely something that we would need to decide upon. Are the petrol stations going to allow keeping a water machine? Well, I'm guessing if we allow them to make some money out of it, they just might, but good question. And then what are they going to do with all their water bottles that they have? Okay, all right, I'm going to just ask all of you now to just realign, okay? The blue hat is when you look at the bigger picture, okay? The blue hat is when you're thinking about the entire project. Great, So the blue hat is one that you would need to try and be a little bit specific about and think of overall overarching concepts. Usha says this. Is there a health hazard filling up water bottles in an area with petrol fumes? Very true. Makes sense. How are we going to get the petrol stations to buy into the idea so that they can also see the benefit? Thank you, Prior. Thank you, everybody, for all your thoughts. We're going to now move on. Like I said, it's always a good idea to do this in a disciplined manner. So 2 minutes on the blue hat. Now we're going to go with the white hat next, okay? Now put on your white hat and think about what information or facts we already know about the effects of plastic on the environment, okay? So white hat on, everyone. Has somebody already launched such a project? Can you benefit from past experience? Definitely something to consider, Vladimir. Thank you. How many persons use plastic bottles? How many petrol stations are targeted in the area? Yes, thank you. Very good. Thank you, Yakshi. Thank you, Apina. Any more? How much water is purchased at petrol stations over a period of time? Yes, very useful information, because then we'll know pretty much how many bottles are being used. How many plastic bottles are purchased on a daily basis? Very good. Okay. What about if this is a fact paper, right? This is a fact paper and we're going to say this is what we know about plastic being wasted. Can you guys think of some? Prior's got one. Most of our plastic ends up in the ocean. By 2025, there'll be almost 1 ton of plastic per ton of fish in the ocean. Whoa, that's a lot. Thanks for that. That's a useful fact to have. Would be good if it could be backed up as well, if we were writing the white paper. Good job. Any more? Only 1 in 5 plastic bottles are recycled. Is that true, Dimple? Wow. Thanks. That's an interesting fact. Okay, everybody. So now that we've got some of our ideas or our overarching ideas out and some of our facts in place, okay, wait, before we move on to the green hat, Shalu says, also if the petrol stations would make money on this, would they consider if they make more plastic bottles? Would they consider if they make more from plastic bottles, and would they agree to replace with water filters? Definitely something to consider. Okay, so now next, let's put on the green hat, okay? And I want us to think about how we can run this bring your own bottle project creatively, okay? It doesn't have to be sensibly, it can be just creative, all right? There can be some sense into it, that's fine too. I noticed that some of you are very quiet. It would be nice if you all tried to participate. Ideas are on the left if you need. Educate the people on the damages of plastic bottles to their health and to the environment. Yes, we should definitely do that. Very good idea. Any more? Hold campaigns like walkathons to encourage using refillable bottles which are not plastic so that you can gain public awareness on things like this. Yeah, cool. Nice idea. Thank you. Are there spaces like government buildings, community centers that are not businesses that can promote this instead of petrol stations for the first stage? Yeah, definitely. That's something that we can think about as well. We can always alter the idea a little bit. Somebody tell me the last time that instead of using recyclable bottles, we can use bottles where the plastic can be eaten or something like that after drinking the water. Have you heard of anything like that? Okay, what else do we have? Dimple says petrol stations can give free water bottles for every, say, 30 liters of gasoline. But people are already doing, well, 30 liters of gasoline. In Malaysia, they already do that, Dimple. And the idea is to not use, to give a free water bottle, so like not a plastic water bottle, but a refillable water bottle, is it? Okay, cool. That's an interesting idea. Educate or bring awareness at schools? Yes, definitely. Have people exchange plastic bottles for a free refill of water at the petrol station so the bottles can be recycled. I like that, Yuri. Amar, find an incentive for people to use the recycling program. Perhaps work with governments or another company to provide discounts on petrol when you recycle bottles. Very cool. Yeah. Hand in hand, you provide free water, the refill stations, while reducing plastic. Excellent. I have about it. Okay, I'm not sure I understand that comment. Mithun? Okay, and finally, not plastic, yes. Okay, good idea. Similar to some cities which provide free transit rides if they recycle plastic bottles. That's really cool. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that information. Sell the water in glass bottles. Bring them back for a percentage off for a new glass bottle. Interesting. Okay, wow. You guys have a lot of ideas coming up. I like this. And it seems like there are some very sellable ideas over here as well. Okay, last one. The petrol store can recycle the glass bottles. Very cool. Thank you. Yes, they can. I like the ideas that are coming, guys. This is really nice. Looks like this project can actually kick off. Let's move now to the next hat, okay? We're going to work on the yellow hat next. Wear your yellow hat, everybody, and now think of the benefits of a project like this, right? That's your task. Think of the benefits of a project like this. Starbucks is giving a free tumbler when customers collect a certain number of coupons. Work with governments to have penalties for plastic and incentive for glass bottles. Okay, yeah, why not? Sounds good. Okay, so these glass bottle ideas is coming up quite a bit. Now, what are the benefits of this project? Saving the environment from plastic waste while also saving money from reduced spending on plastic bottles. Very true, yes. Will definitely help reduce the waste in the landfill sites. Absolutely, yes. Recycling will decrease the amount of plastic in the environment. Course, increasing the number of plastic bottles recycled in a target region, very cool. Decreasing the number of water pollution, decreasing the amount of water pollution. Yep, and people will have access to drinking water. Okay. So Narisha's idea, the complete idea was recycling will decrease the amount of plastic in the environment, decreasing the amount of water pollution. Okay. Water pollution, okay, and people have access to drinking water. People are more aware of their actions and their impact to the environment. Healthy option for drinking water out of SS. What's S stroke S? Copper as opposed to plastic. Stainless steel, okay, as opposed to plastics that we know are harmful that are harmful to us. Yeah, okay. Thank you. These are really good ideas. I like it. Keep them coming. Next hat that we need to use. People will no need to worry about getting water when thirsty, even if they forget to carry water. Kunal says, can use the shelf space for these plastic bottles for something else. Yes, we could. Okay. Now, let's now move on to our black hat, everybody. Thank you for all your contributions. The black hat, I want you to put it on now and think of any issues that may arise by doing something like this, by running a project like this. Making the people understand as old habits die hard. You bet. Oh my God, Pankaj, that's so true. From Srinivasa Rao, plastic industry and its employment. That will be quite an issue if plastic water bottles stop being sold. How would water bottle companies react? That would be fun to find out. Oil industry lobbyists. Loss for the petrol company to use water filter against water bottles. Of course, yes. The project design may not be profitable for the drinking water suppliers and might make them our enemy. Yep, these are definitely some real issues that will come up. It's a huge industry, providing water, drinking water. filtered, what do you call it? Yeah, filtered or arrow or vitamin water. There's a whole bunch of different types of water. It's a huge industry. Okay, thank you everybody. Let's move on to the next hat then. Final one. The red hat. Let's wear our red hat. And let's talk about how this project makes you feel, finally. How do you feel, everyone, wearing this, about this project? How are you feeling? Environmentally friendly? That's nice. Love it. Definitely the way forward. Yeah, I would hope so too. I mean, it's definitely something that's ruminating in my mind. Doing our bit for nature, if it works out. Yeah, I guess. That's true. I feel if I'm contributing to the well-being of the environment, that I am contributing to the well-being of the environment and the world. Yes, you would definitely be doing that. Envisioning the future with no plastic bottles makes me feel excited to see such a clean environment, doesn't it? Yeah, it makes my heart smile too. I just think about this and, I mean, every time I see the bottles and there's so many of them, especially, sometimes when it comes to an event even sometimes where everybody, or a conference where everybody's drinking out of plastic water bottles, or that one bottle is supplied for each person. I can't imagine, by the end of the day, how much rubbish is collected in just all plastic. There's a lot to do to make it happen. Mindset change takes a long time for a large number of people, but it would be lovely to make it happen. So you guys do like this idea. I'm very happy to hear this. Philippines suffers from floods, and it's always plastic bottles floating around. It's extremely disgusting. Yep, I can understand that. It must not be fun to look at. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for all your contributions. That's all we've got time for right now in terms of our hats. You all have done an amazing job of wearing the 6 thinking hats, and I think you guys can probably teach it quite soon. You all are experts already. So I'm just going to allow us to track through the process of what we just did, okay? We started with the blue hat, and we tried to bring some structure to our project. Then we used the white hat, and then we gathered some useful facts that would substantiate our project. Then we used the green hat to think creatively about how we can run the project. Next, we wore the happy hat, the yellow hat, and we thought about the advantages. This was followed logically by the black hat, where we thought of potential challenges, people's receptivity towards such a change, and finally, how the project makes us feel. Okay. Usually, like I told you initially, it's a good idea to go back to the blue hat and reconsolidate our discussion to concretize what our next steps are going to be. Okay. So that, in a nutshell, is the 6 thinking hats, brothers and sisters. Now, you may ask at this point, is this the order, or the order that we worked through? Is that the order that we're supposed to use the hats in? Nope, not necessarily. You can most definitely swap the hats around. You can use the red hat first, or you can use the positive and the negative hat first, and then you can move on to thinking creatively. It's up to you. I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Are you working on initial ideas for something? Are you planning a strategy? Are you looking for solutions? If so, then you don't need to use all the hats. You see what I mean? You can select a few to suit the purpose of your discussion. So, like I said, looking at this slide, these are only suggestions where you can use the 6 thinking hats, and the orders in which you can use the 6 thinking hats. You can do it in any way, actually. If you look online as well, there's so many suggestions of how you can use the 6 thinking hats. Okay, now that we've done this and we've used the hats, I want you to answer a question. I want you to think about what ways the 6 thinking hats can bring clarity. I'd love to see your views in the chat box. You get to see things from all sides. Yep, we look at pretty much a bigger picture. Thanks, Pankaj. It helps us gain perspective and approach open-mindedly. Yes, it does. Brings out a proper vision to execute tasks effectively. Yes, for sure, it does that. Shamini, you're looking at an idea from all perspectives. Yeah, going back to the elephant. I was just going to say that. Yuri, you typed that next. Going back to the elephant story, having 6 different ways of thinking can get you a clearer picture. Yes, very true. By asking all of these questions prior to running a project, it prepares us for whatever possible issue may come up and also avoid issues. Very true. Helps us structure our thoughts, yes, in an organized manner, which is really nice. It helps us to execute projects, makes clear to know the reason for doing a project, yes, objectives, who it will benefit, positives, negatives, feasibility, long-term solutions, or short-term plans even, or what you're going to do stage by stage. Yep, it's definitely a tool that helps us. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I completely agree with all of you. You're absolutely right. These are some things that I thought to add on. By using the 6 thinking hats, it provides a common language because we're all working towards a certain goal, right? And it's not just us describing something for the sake of understanding it better, but it actually provides direction. It allows experience and intelligence of each person. I would never know. For example, the fact that I spoke to somebody about this, they told me that there are plastic water bottles that you can actually eat. It's almost like something that you can chew and swallow, but it's not plastic. It's some kind of other fiber material which you use to make drinking bottles. I was amazed at that kind of an idea. I didn't even know they existed. Okay, but yeah, there's a diversity of thought. There's so many creative ideas that come about. When you think like this, especially when you're doing it as a group, you don't stereotype, and each group has the opportunity to discuss. Also, it allows you to use your mind, the faculty of your mind, in many different ways. I could almost see that certain times when a discussion is being held, there are conflicting ideas, but even though there are conflicting ideas in 6 thinking hats, they're all constructive. They all work towards a goal. So it allows for different ideas and makes you work towards the same goal. You're always focusing on one thing at a time when you're working on the 6 thinking hats, which is really nice because there's clarity there. You evaluate, create, implement action plans. So yeah, it's something that you work not just for the sake of knowing what you're doing, but not just for the sake of planning something, but actually have an action that comes as a result of it. So these 6 thinking hats can be quite effective. I was just sitting with a sister of mine a few days ago, and we were wondering how these 6 thinking hats can bring clarity in respect to our spiritual journeys as well. And I shared that if I was to work on myself, I would like to put more time into reading Sai literature, which is something that I've not been doing as much as I would like to at the moment, just being honest, right? And the question came to mind, why do you want to do this? How will you go about it? This is me using the blue hat, right? And then what would I like to read about? Do I have this content available with me? Okay, maybe there's a certain number of books that I'm interested in reading. What do I feel about this plan? Am I very intent on it and I'm somewhat intent on it? Do I want to start immediately? Am I very driven? Okay. How could I infuse fun into this activity? I've recently become a mom. Maybe I can do something with reading with my son. What will I gain from this? I think I could write a list of 100 things that I would gain, because there was a time that I was a lot more avid a reader in terms of Sai literature, and I did gain tons from it. What are my obstacles getting started? That would be my black hat coming on. How will I start? How often will I start? How often will I do it? When, when in the day will I read? So this is back to me going to the blue hat to confirm my thoughts. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is the 6 hats can also be used as a reflective tool. Now, all of this, what does conscious thinking and questioning do? I think Swami has an answer which is quite clear. A nation's prosperity is dependent on how people use their time in the performance of good actions. The challenge for humanity is lack of clarity, motivation, and laziness. You might be intelligent, but if you don't act, nothing's going to happen. This denies us the ability to offer our gifts to the world. Time is wasted and life is wasted. Okay? So, clarity comes through conscious thinking and questioning because we gain solutions and ideas and vision, which Swami is saying is not enough just to know, but we have to be proactive and act upon it too. And when we do this, we are not only just being of service to others or making a difference to a community or maybe even a country, but we're also refining ourselves, okay? And why is this important? Why is refining ourselves important? I feel this is because when we have clarity of purpose, we understand our task to perfection, okay? We understand it super clearly. And when we do that, we're doing the best for ourselves and we're doing the best for others, okay? As we should. We should always do our best in all situations. So our Swami is actually the ultimate perfectionist, and he definitely has ultimate clarity. I'm going to share a story with you. So in the senior boys hospital in Prashanti Nilayam some years ago, a general store was being conducted, okay? So there was a Mr. Venkatachalam who was the supervisor in constructing this general store. The store was supposed to be for the boys. But Swami being Swami, he pays attention to every single detail. So he was checking up on the project. Now, remember everyone, we're talking about the Swami who's built a super specialty hospital in record time and worked on things like the water project, okay? He's done some seriously huge things. This same Swami was talking about paying some absolute attention to the simple general store for the students, okay? So Swami asked the supervisor, when can the store be ready? And Swami was always in a hurry because he expected you to put your full attention into your work with no distraction and disturbance. So when you work steadily towards the goal, you will finish it fast, right? So Swami says, when can I come? And the man enthusiastically said, Swami, tomorrow. Swami, you can come tomorrow. And Swami paused and he said, he reasoned for a moment. He said, stay. There's the electrical work, there's the wood work which needs to be done for the cupboards, and the painting is pending. Are you sure? When can you assure that it'll be done? So the man explained, yeah, Swami, but the workers are here, the students are helping, it'll be ready by tomorrow. He was confident, you know. So Swami paused, and he said, okay, I'll come day after. Now, Swami always expects that work needs to be done perfectly. So somehow, when everything was getting ready, of course, this man was extremely stressed, and one of the cupboards details missed his attention, okay? There was actually 14 cupboards over there, but there was only one cupboard that missed his attention. The electric wiring, he did notice this, Mr. Venkatachalam. The electric wiring wasn't done properly, and this was noticed, so he basically told the workers, back the cables up into the ceiling and plaster it off, close it shut, so that Swami doesn't see that nothing is, you know, so that's not done to perfection. Okay? And Swami came the next day in the morning, and he talked to him, and he asked him, are all the 3 works that I assigned you complete? And Mr. V said, yes, to perfection. And Swami, being Swami, you know, while he was talking to him about this, he literally went and stood right under the place where the ceiling was plastered. And you can guess what happened. The wires fell rolling down when he looked up. Okay, and Swami just looked at the man and he gave him a stare. And then I told you there were about 14 cupboards, right? And there was this one that he hadn't paid attention to, he didn't notice. Swami walked up to it and he just opened it, and the whole cupboard just fell down with a thud. There was some chain or something which he was supposed to put on it, which he didn't do properly. And so Swami looks at it and he says, this is not proper, the students will be strained, and this is dangerous. And then, of course, he was feeling bad, but, he said, yes, Swami, I'll look after those two issues, but the painting is surely done perfectly, okay? So Swami goes to the window, and he, the wooden, in those days, the windows, you have a wooden stopper when you that holds the window open. Swami went to the window, the wooden stopper, and he flipped he flipped it. He opened the window and the stopper flipped, okay? So the back was seen and not the front. Actually, the whole room, everything was painted perfectly, but behind that wooden stopper, there was a small bit which was not painted properly, which was not painted actually. I guess the painters just paid attention to the front. And Swami said, see, it's incomplete. Work is incomplete. So what I'm trying to tell you is Swami pays absolute attention to detail. There was another situation also when they were working on Grama Seva, and they suggested polythene packaging, for all the Seva items and the food that was going to go out to the communities. And Swami said there's going to be too much plastic pollution to nature. So Swami's idea was to use a green leaf, green leaf as a plate. So I think this was Swami also using the green hat, which was a fantastic idea. And I'm sure you've seen these in India. You have these dry leaf plates. So they were used to put the food in, and then this was packaged again in newspapers. So basically the whole project became a biodegradable one, because everything, all the materials, the food, the leaf and the paper, everything was biodegradable. So basically that's that. That's what happens as a result of you having clarity. So just to sum up, what we've done today is we've thought about a few types of questioning. The first one was questioning before we speak. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Will it improve on silence? Then the 4 fundamental questions of life. Who am I? Where do I come from? What am I doing? Where am I going? We talked about Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats. And, we looked at Swami's practical ways of using, in his letter, where he used the questioning skills himself to perfection. We used the 6 thinking hats ourselves, and we thought about how questioning can be beneficial to us. We went through the 6 men and the elephant story, and we reflected on the importance of seeing the bigger picture, and how understanding this brings clarity in our daily life. Clarity in thought, clarity in purpose, clarity when we're performing our actions, and finally, when we do things, paying attention to all the details. Such clarity helps us serve like Swami would, in the best way possible. Okay? So that's that on clarity through conscious questioning, conscious thinking and questioning. Right. At this stage, I'm just going to stop and ask if you have any questions or comments also. Anything is welcome. Idea and project of bring your own bottle is thought-provoking towards saving the planet. Thanks. Maybe we can work on that further, brother. Sairam, thank you. Always love reading about De Bono. Sairam, a recording of this workshop will be uploaded to YouTube along with the past YATD workshops. Absolutely true. Thank you. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining today's session. I hope you enjoyed and got as much joy out of it as I did. And I pray that this session and all of our collective thoughts inspire us to utmost clarity through conscious thinking and questioning. Lots of love, and Jai Sai Ram.
Thank you so much, Sister Sayusha, for this energetic and engaging workshop to help us use tools such as De Bono's hats to think more clearly in our day-to-day decision-making. I'm sure all of us have learned something from this session. Our next workshop will be taking place on October 27th with Brother Sharad, who will be presenting on decision-making under uncertainty. We recommend that if you have not already, to please like the Sai Young Adults page on Facebook or Instagram to keep up to date with the latest on the workshops. And recordings of past workshops will be available on the official SSIO YouTube channel. And the playlist is called SSIO Young Adults Talent Development Program. Thank you so much again, everyone. Let's please close today's session with one Om and three Shantis. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Sai Ram, everyone.